Hi, this is Mark from LongIslandWatch.com. Don't adjust your Seiko 4R34 or NH34 based automatic watch until you watch this video. I'm going to go through how to use it and set it, how to read it, etc. Because I think a lot of people get wrapped around the GMT hand and how to read it. And also discuss the danger zone stuff. Is it going to apply here? We will find out for my own. Oh, before we get to my wrist check, this video was actually a recommendation from a customer after we released our Islander GMT waffles. Said, hey, Mark, you owe us a video on how to use this movement. And I sure do. So we'll get into it. On my own wrist, another GMT, the Islander JFK with the cloud blue dial. This is also an NH34 based watch. This guy's white and gray cousin just came back after being out. They were sellouts in the beginning. And on my other wrist is, another Islander. It is the blue Northport that I've matched up on a, just like the other watch, a blue rubber strap to really set it off. Let's talk about GMTs. So because it is watch and learn, let's just spend a minute, 2 minutes just talking about the movements. On the left here we have your standard 4R36, or this is actually an NH36, which is an unbranded Seiko movement sold to the watch community. And on the right here, this is an NH34, same as a 4R34, again, unbranded. So very common movement, you've seen this around a lot. I am going to just take off this day disc. So with the day wheel removed on that NH36, we can see here's the little day corrector wheel. But we still have, the part I want to really make hammer home here is that a lot of the movement is the same. We still have the plastic little star wheel under here that has a tendency to break. Editing Mark here. Video Mark just glossed over something really important, actually one of the main points to take home from the video. That little gear that I alluded to, the little white gear that is hidden, that gear will still break in this movement if you attempt to set the date between the hours of 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. I will say don't set the date or the GMT between those hours, but I'm pretty sure it's really just going to be affected by the date. Back to the video. They've added a little carrier here, and this is what engages the GMT wheel. It's really quite ingenious. They've re-engineered a portion of the top plate. You can see the jewels are in the same positions, so a lot of the movement mechanics are exactly the same. It's just they've added functionality here, removed day functionality, and in its place did some clever gearing to give you a fourth wheel, or excuse me, I shouldn't say fourth, a fourth hand that now rotates once a day, and some little notch and detenting that makes it click in 1 hour increments as read by the GMT scale. I wanted to show you really quick, when I do put this into, let's see, that's winding mode. When I do pull it out one click, that's your GMT setting mode. You see the little center wheel this is actually a really good lens. Check that out, is that cool? And then going the other way, watch that carrier on the right. Isn't that cool? And now it engages the date mechanism. Back the other way. What they do is just, a lot of times genius is in its simplicity, and that's truly what this is. Let's get on with the function. So for our demonstration, we're going to use an Islander waffle dial GMT. This is a new release. This happens to be ISL 214. So I think a lot of people get wrapped around what the GMT hand does, represents, signifies, how it works. So let's get into that. This yellow hand is the GMT hand. It will revolve once per day as compared to the hour hand, which will revolve twice per day. So right now this watch is set at 8 o'clock a.m. as read by the normal dial markings. I've also set the GMT hand to read 8 on the rehaut of the chapter ring here, 8, and it also happens to be 8 on the bezel. So this is 8 a.m. So if I were to advance the time to say 10 a.m., watch all the hands, nothing up my sleeve, 10 a.m. on the 12-hour time, what we call the two hands, and 10 on the rehaut or the chapter, whatever you want to call it. So how do you use this, and how can it be used to your benefit, and what are some cases for it? So I can think of two cases really that you want to use a GMT hand. So the NH34 movement is what's considered an office or caller GMT. You have a friend in another time zone, a business partner, or whatever, acquaintance, and you want to know what time it is for them so that you don't bother them when you call them. So let's assume that I have a friend that's 8 hours ahead of me. Okay, you can be wherever you want in the world. Let's say it's 10 a.m. locally for you, and you have a friend that is 8 hours ahead. So just do the math in your head. 8 hours ahead of 10 a.m. is going to be 1800 hours or 6 p.m. So let's move, not the date, the GMT hand to 1800 hours. So 1800. So because I knew this watch was in AM, but it's PM for them, that's where this is beneficial. AM would be the right side of the dial, basically the 12 through 12, and PM would be the left side of the dial, the 12, if you will, through the 24. So in 4 hours' time, when it's 2 o'clock for me, as read by these hands, it's going to be 2200 hours, or I know 22 minus 12 is 10, it's 10 p.m. for that person. Pretty cool, right? And that's how you would use it in that kind of a situation. Now, some watches like this Islander and others have this rotating bezel. How can you use this to your advantage? Well, this basically will help you track yet a third time zone. Let's say you have another friend that is, I don't know, 2 hours behind you. So I'm going to lose track of everything, but it's 2 p.m. for me, so it's going to be noon for them. So I would just rotate this guy out to noon. So at whatever time of the day I'm looking at this watch, the yellow hand will point to the local time for my business partner, and then the outer bezel, the yellow hand would point to the outer bezel, the time it is for my friend that is 2 hours behind me. Pretty slick, pretty cool, functional, very functional. There is another GMT that's called the Traveler's GMT. That's the Miyota 9075, your Sellita SW330, etc. I'll cover that certainly in another video. I've talked about these Traveler and Caller GMTs before. I'll try to put a card up over here for you to review. Second use case I can think of is, well, let's say you are going on vacation. And, well, let's say you're going to Hawaii. I live in New York. Hawaii is 6 hours behind me. Plane lands, captain or first officer gets on and says, welcome to Honolulu. Local time is 6 o'clock a.m. So now if the time is 6 a.m. for me local, then back in New York, it's going to be 6 hours ahead. So 6 hours ahead of 6 a.m. will be noon. So I will set the watch, the GMT hand, to point to 12. So now whenever I'm on vacation, my local time in Hawaii will be as told by the 12-hour hands. And the time in New York, if I need to call the office and see what's going on, will be read right here, 2 p.m. And likewise, if there was another time zone I wanted to track, I could use the bi-directional bezel. But that's about it. Those are the use cases I could think of. It is useful. If you wear two watches, I guess maybe you don't need a GMT watch. But as far as, as far as complications go, chronographs are cool, and dual timers are certainly cool, and I hope you find it useful. Anyway, this has been Mark from longonwatch.com with a little watch and learn, showing you how to use the GMT function of the NH34. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done so. Questions, comments, concerns, put them down below, and I'll be sure to address them as soon as I can. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.